Welcome to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette, with your host, Steve Garrett, MC and DJ at one of the largest Corvette weekends in the country, Corvette Fun Fest, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 40 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, and the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-639-4231. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say, "Hey Google" or "Alexa, play the podcast called Corvette Today," and you're connected. Be sure and visit the updated Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteToday.com. You can also access everything there, including the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also join the Corvette Today Facebook group there and sign up for Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at corvettetoday.ck.page. And if you like YouTube, you can subscribe to the Corvette Today YouTube channel. See all Corvette Today episodes on YouTube. And be sure and patronize our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, Aerollari Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 different unique styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvettes. It's an amazing value, starting at only $23.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT111 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit aerollari.com, that's AEROLARRI.com, and use the promo code CT111 for your $100 discount. And Soul Performance Products. Developed and manufactured in the United States, the Soul Performance Products exhaust portfolio has been tailored to elevate the experience of the world's most exciting sports cars, including the latest generation of the Corvette. Soul Performance Products, the official exhaust of Corvette Today. Also, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. And a shout out to Corvette Forum and CanadianCorvetteForum.com, welcoming Corvette enthusiasts from around the world. The Corvette Caravan to the National Corvette Museum is coming up next year on Labor Day weekend. This marks the 30th anniversary of the museum, where thousands of Corvettes converge on the NCM. Here to talk about this pilgrimage is Sectional Regional Captain Bill Herold, who leads the West Coast Southwest delegation, and Jeff Zipity Duda, who leads the Atlantic section. Guys, welcome to Corvette Today.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having us. I do appreciate you giving us some time here today to reach out to your wonderful audience.
Hey, Steve, likewise here on the West Coast. An honor to be on your show.
Guys, it's great to have you here, and it's great to talk about the Caravan early so people can get excited, number one, and number two, get signed up. First, let's start off by talking about the history of the Corvette Caravan to Bowling Green and the National Corvette Museum. How did the event get started, and who started it? How long has it been going on?
Yeah, that's a great question, Steve. Always good to start with some history before you move forward. The Corvette Museum, like many people realize in the Corvette hobby, was started on the backs of the Corvette enthusiasts. This museum was built through the passion of Corvette owners that wanted to get a, kind of call it like a mecca or a gathering place for Corvette owners from across the globe that could come together and show their love for the Corvette, for this automobile. The museum opened back in 1994 over Labor Day weekend, and in doing so, there was what was called the Corvette Caravan. And at the time, nobody really realized just how big or what kind of life of its own this thing would take on. But from all points across North America, regional captains or Corvette owners were coordinating other Corvette owners to get together to travel down to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Think of like a bicycle spoke, with the center hub being Bowling Green, Kentucky, and all points across North America driving down. And as you come across the country, like Bill's coming from the West Coast, as he came east, they're picking up other groups and getting larger and larger. And they did this first pilgrimage in 1994. And now what they do is they hold it every 5 years to commemorate the milestone anniversary of the museum. And in 2024, the museum will be celebrating its 30th anniversary.
That's fantastic. Now, that was what I was going to ask you guys. This happens every 5 years. Is there an event at the museum during Labor Day weekend that this happens during?
Yes, absolutely. So every Labor Day, the Corvette Museum will host their annual anniversary celebration. So, for example, this year in 2023, over Labor Day weekend, they will be celebrating the 29th anniversary of the National Corvette Museum. But there will not be a caravan leading Corvette owners into the museum for that celebration. Fast forward to 2024, being that is a milestone, the 30th anniversary, the caravan is set from all points across the country for the week leading up to Labor Day, depending on how far you're traveling from. But kind of that week leading in the Labor Day is when the National Corvette Caravan takes place. So the caravan is kind of the first aspect of it, getting everybody down to Bowling Green. And then once you're in Bowling Green, there's the 30th anniversary celebration. It's hosted by the Corvette Museum. So it's kind of like two events morphed into one giant event to celebrate the Corvette and the museum itself.
And it really is a giant event because it's every 5 years during that anniversary celebration, right?
That is correct. The only time that they didn't do it every 5 years was in 2003, where they took kind of a left turn, so to speak, off of the every 5 years. In 2003, there was something very special in the Corvette world in that the Corvette was celebrating its 50th anniversary. So in 99, they decided, okay, the next caravan will be in 2003 to celebrate the Corvette itself. And where better to do that than at the National Corvette Museum? And then to get back on track to that every 5 year cycle, they went to 2009 for the next caravan. So 2003 was a special year in that it celebrated the Corvette as well as the Corvette Museum.
I think the only thing I'd add, I think Jeff covered it very well, is that the event itself at the museum is a 3-day event. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Nice, nice. Now, guys, how many different regions are there? And typically, how many Corvettes participate from each region each time the caravan is held?
I believe there's in excess of about 25 plus regions throughout North America. I can tell you, based on my experience with the Southwest section or region, in 2019, we took off from, coincidentally, the corner where they start the Rose Parade in Pasadena, California.
Nice.
For all you see all those bleachers, that is the Elks Lodge parking lot, and that was our staging area. And we left for Bowling Green that morning with 192 Corvettes.
Wow.
We're expecting in 2024 that number to be far above 200.
That's amazing. How much time does it take to plan this massive event like the Corvette Caravan?
I can speak on behalf of the Southwest. We actually initiated our organization, believe it or not, the end of July of 2021. So come this July, we are organizing committee, which continues to grow for the Southwest section. Literally, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary of planning.
That's amazing.
In 2019, talking about how many different regional caravans are across the country, I was fortunate enough to be the national chairman of the event in 2019. And as doing so, I helped the other captains from around the country. I had 25 different regional captains, whether that be the New England captain, the Florida captain, then a Southeast captain to kind of drill it down. Then you've got North Central. We had 3 captains across Texas. You mentioned Bill is in Southern California, but we also had a captain that covered Arizona and New Mexico, the Pacific Northwest. So whatever region of the country you're in, you can go to the Corvette Caravan website and find your local captain. And as far as planning goes, being that I was involved in this event in 2019, when the last one happened, I knew I wanted to be involved again in 2024. So the minute the 2019 event concluded, I started brainstorming and jotting down ideas on what we can do for the 2024 event. So you could say it's been in the works now for coming up on 4 years. And by the time the caravan rolls around, it'll be a full 5 years of planning to put this thing together.
That's amazing. Guys, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about getting involved and signing up for the caravan coming up next on Corvette Today.
We all know that wheels make the car. Wheelcraft's PVD chrome finish in bright chrome or black chrome will take your Corvette to new levels. And it comes with a 5-year warranty. Whether you've taken delivery of your C8 or have one on order, learn how Wheelcraft can help you transform the look of your Corvette and save you money. Durability is a defining feature of the Wheelcraft finish. Their PVD chrome is superior to traditional chrome with a finish that is brake dust resistant and cleans effortlessly with soap and water. We can also refinish existing chrome wheels. Wheelcraft offers factory wheels on exchange, or they can apply the PVD finish to your current wheels. No matter what generation you own, call Wheelcraft to transform the look of your Corvette. With every Corvette comes a unique story, and Wheelcraft has embraced this idea. When you purchase your new set of wheels, you receive a lifetime membership to the Wheelcraft Pit Crew, granting you access to your own page on Wheelcraft's website, where you can post pictures and tell your Corvette story. And don't miss Wheelcraft on the road. See their finish in person at Bloomington Gold in June and Corvettes at Carlisle in August. Wheelcraft will also be located on the Midway at Carlisle with their very own mobile tire installation on site. Exchanges of the C8's 5-spoke, Trident, 20-spoke, and Z06 wheels will take place on Installation Alley. Call early and place your order for installation at Carlisle. Visit our website at wheelcraft.com or call us at 833-639-4231. That's 833-639-4231. Arrive in style with Wheelcraft.
The Radiator Grill Store offers C8 Corvette A-pillar wind diffusers in beautiful carbon fiber or OEM gloss black that help reduce wind buffeting when a window is open. Easy installation and OEM fitment. Plus, get 10% off your total purchase with the promo code CT10 at radiatorgrillstore.com.
When you want to buy a Corvette, or any Chevrolet for that matter, get yours from Hendrick Chevrolet Shawnee Mission, located in Kansas City. Hendrick Chevrolet is the largest Corvette dealership and showroom in the Midwest. With a knowledgeable sales staff and Corvette sales specialists on hand, they'll help you build the Corvette of your dreams, and they ship nationwide. With Corvette certified master mechanics on site and a huge parts department with over 24,000 parts and $2 million in inventory, Hendrick Chevrolet is well equipped to take care of your every need. From sales to service to collision repair, Hendrick Chevrolet has you covered. Visit ChevyUSA.com or call 913-384-1550.
Are you ready to take your Corvette to the next level? Look no further than Classic Trim Customs. As the #1 supplier for American hydrocarbon, we've manufactured some of the most impressive Corvette parts on the market, from engine bay panels to splitters and side skirts. With over 30 years of experience in hydrographics, we've perfected the technique and use only state-of-the-art materials and equipment to ensure the highest quality and precision. Visit our website at ClassicTrimCustoms.com or give us a call at 305-258-3090 to learn more about our products and services. Whether you want to create a show-stopping ride or just add a touch of personalization, the sky is the limit with Classic Trim Customs. Let us help you create the Corvette of your dreams.
VetFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25, and every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada, and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
And now, back to Corvette Today with your host and my husband, Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette. Brought to you by Wheelcraft. Spring is here, and you want your Corvette looking its best. Dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit Wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty too. Visit Wheelcraft.com today or call them 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me today is Corvette Caravan Regional Captain Bill Herold and also Jeff Zipity Duda. In this second section, we're going to talk about how everybody can get involved in the caravan. Guys, if a Corvette owner wants to participate in next year's caravan, depending on what country they live in, how do they sign up for their home region?
So that's pretty simple, Steve. What you want to do is you want to head out to the website and just find CorvetteCaravan.com. And when you get to that website, you'll see 3 little horizontal lines up in the right-hand corner. Click on that, and it's going to find you an area that says select a state, and then click on select a state, and you've got, believe it or not, over 50 choices. Yes, I know we have 50 states in this great country, but we have it broken down into multiple areas for some of the larger regions of the country. So find the region where you live and check out that captain's itinerary to learn more about what the Corvette Caravan is doing in your local market.
That sounds good. Now, typically, guys, how long does each region's caravan take to get to Bowling Green, and how much money should a Corvette owner plan on spending on fuel, lodging, and meals?
So, Steve, I think that's an excellent question. And obviously, it's going to vary greatly depending upon how close you are to Bowling Green as the arrival destination point. For Southern California, we're one of the longest in terms of miles from Bowling Green. In fact, it's just under 2,500 miles with the route that we're taking. We're doing it over a 7-day period. There is costs associated with our particular caravan that may differ slightly than some of the other captains and how they organize their caravans. But for the most part, attendees or participants are responsible for their lodging and hotels, which we do coordinate group blocks, and that's all being worked on as we speak. Obviously, they're responsible for their fuel, most of their meals, and whatever other extra activities they should do when they get to Bowling Green.
That sounds good. And Jeff, what about your side from the East Coast?
So from the East Coast, the way we are starting is we are starting at the Corvettes at Carlisle show, the largest Corvette show in the country. And it just makes perfect sense because the Carlisle weekend is the weekend before Labor Day. Carlisle is always the last weekend in August, Labor Day being the first weekend in September. We take the time to depart from Corvettes at Carlisle and then journey down to Bowling Green, Kentucky over the course of 4 days. Now, it certainly doesn't take 4 days to get there. But again, the caravan is all part of the journey and part of the experience. So we really enjoy our time on the road. And as far as a budget goes, I kind of tell folks to think about what they tend to budget themselves for a week's vacation. A good number that I like to throw out there is anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 per couple, depending on how crazy you want to go on spending money. If you do the Corvettes at Carlisle event on the front half of our journey, that's obviously an additional expense versus not joining us in Carlisle. But I like to tell folks, think about what you would spend on a week's vacation with you and your family typically.
That sounds about right. Now, guys, you're both obviously on opposite ends of the country. Bill, you're on the West Coast. Jeff, you're on the East Coast. Each of you talk about your itineraries and, again, how many Corvettes you think you're going to be expecting along the route by the time you get to Bowling Green, and talk about some of the stops that you'll make along the way.
Steve, that is, again, right in line with Jeff's comments. It's about the experience and the journey. You're not just getting behind the wheel and trying to get from point A to point B. For the Southwest, we have some plans that we think are going to be really exciting to participants, starting out with the fact that we, again, have a welcome reception in Pasadena at one of their major hotels with a great experience for people arriving there the night before. Then, as I mentioned, the staging area the next morning, right there where the Rose Parade starts every New Year's Day. From there, we'll go up over the mountains on a scenic, windy road that takes us up through the Antelope Valley, and we'll connect with Interstate 15 heading to Vegas. We'll have our second night effectively in Vegas, getting up the next morning to head over to Pahrump. And are you ready for this? We're going to have a total experience at Spring Mountain. Many Corvette owners are very familiar with that. They're going to put together a presentation for us and probably a little lunch, and then we'll be on our road heading to Cedar City, Utah for the next night. From there, we go to Colorado the night after that. From there, we end up in the cornfields of Kansas. From there, we'll end up in your neighborhood, Kansas City, Missouri. Although not 100% inked, but we feel pretty good. We're going to have a fun event there at the Kansas Speedway. More to come on that. And then from there, we'll head down to another gathering point where several caravans will assemble. And that's going to be at this wonderful little town I never knew existed called Cape Girardeau, which is just unbelievable. They roll out the red carpet for the caravans coming into town that night. And they literally shut down the entire downtown district. The only people that can get in is Corvette owners and their cars. And they've got bands and live music and all sorts of activities happening. And then we assemble the next morning for the final leg into Bowling Green.
That sounds great. Now, Jeff, talk about your trip down from Carlisle, Pennsylvania to Bowling Green as well.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And Bill sounds like he's got an unbelievable trip planned. I actually considered shipping my car out to Southern California and traveling back with those guys just because it sounds like a great event. And that being said, like I mentioned, check out your local area to see what your local captain's doing. But that doesn't mean you need to drive with your local captain. If you're going to be at Corvettes at Carlisle and you live in somewhere other than New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, consider traveling with the Atlantic Corvette Caravan or possibly even the New England Corvette Caravan, because we are both, being that we're somewhat regionally close, going to be taking similar but different routes, but we will both be starting from the Carlisle, Central Pennsylvania marketplace.
Wow.
The Atlantic Caravan, what our itinerary is set up right now is we will congregate back at the Carlisle Fairgrounds on Sunday morning. And from there, we're going to head due south right into West Virginia to the Summit Point Raceway, which is a small, little, fun, technical racetrack in the foothills of West Virginia. And we'll do some nice, call it aggressive parade laps, let's say, around Summit Point. We'll have some lunch there. And then from there, we're headed due west over to the Stonewall Jackson Resort, which is a beautiful 5-star resort nestled in the mountains of West Virginia, where the National Corvette Museum has actually hosted some museum in motion events in the past. And if you were on the 2019 Atlantic Corvette Caravan, we also stayed at the Stonewall Jackson. So we're going back to that resort that has a golf course, lake sports and water sports, plenty of hiking, lots to see and do. So while at Stonewall Jackson, we will do a group dinner, a banquet dinner, so to speak. And we plan on having some really, really cool Corvette-centric keynote speakers at the Stonewall Jackson Resort. From there, we're going to do a little bit of a deviation from what was done in 2019, and we're going to go into Louisville, downtown Louisville, Kentucky, and spend 2 nights at one of the nicest hotels, the largest hotel in the city, called the Galt House, right on the river. And we're going to take over the entire hotel. And the beautiful thing about downtown Louisville is there's a lot to see and do, such as the Louisville Slugger Museum is right there. The Muhammad Ali Museum is right there. And really important to some folks is there's 2 or 3 different walking bourbon trails that you can walk to from our hotel. And being that we're staying there 2 nights, you don't have to worry about being hungover the next morning and driving your Corvettes. We're going to give you enough time to sleep off that bourbon hangover. And then from there in Louisville, we're going to take the short ride and arrive into Bowling Green, Kentucky on Thursday morning to join in all the activities that the National Corvette Museum has planned for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
That sounds fantastic on both ends, guys. Now, let me ask you this. How does the National Corvette Museum plan for this huge event like a caravan, and where do they park all those Corvettes?
So, Jeff, I'm going to defer to you on this.
Okay. I was going to say, I'll take that if you like. That's a great question, Steve. And like I said, this is now going to be the 7th National Corvette Caravan that the museum has hosted. They've learned over the last 6 caravans how to handle this influx. Plus, they do the bash every spring, and they get a nice influx of cars that come down for that. So the National Corvette Museum is well-versed in receiving the thousands upon thousands of Corvettes that come in. And when the racetrack was built, that added another attraction there in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Not only do you have the Corvette Museum, you have the Corvette Assembly Plant, and now you have the Motorsports Park, which is right across the interstate from the museum. So there's plenty and plenty of parking when you take into consideration what is available over at the racetrack. And the racetrack is another great place to visit while you're in Bowling Green, Kentucky, because you can take your Corvette out and do some laps, and you can even rent a Corvette, a brand new C8, and take that around Motorsports Park as well while you're in Bowling Green.
Man, this sounds like so much fun, you guys. Let's take our final break, guys, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about what people can expect while they participate in the Corvette Caravan. That's coming up next on Corvette Today.
Are you ready for a better insurance policy without the Corvette tax? With Agreed Value Protection, the value of your collector vehicle will never change. Plus, you'll save money. Get a quick quote at ncminsurance.com.
Car Capsule brings you the official multi-award-winning Corvette SC1 Showcase. It's the ultimate form of protection, preservation, and presentation for your Corvette. No dust, mold, or mildew. This officially licensed GM product features all 8 Corvette flag logos, Corvette branding on the panels, a carbon fiber look and feel, and interior chip onboard lighting, plus the IntelliCharge battery charger with the fan backup system. It takes only 5 minutes to inflate, and it won't collapse when you open the doors or during a power loss. It's a freestanding drive-in, drive-out operation. See it at carcapsule.com or call 219-945-9493.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
Welcome to the world-famous Auto Direct Corvettes, America's best pre-owned Corvette destination. Family-owned for 70 years and 3 generations, the #1 Mid-Atlantic Regional Dealer of the Year for 15 years in a row. Corvette enthusiasts nationwide all say we have the best Corvettes in the USA, with 125 Corvettes and exotics in stock. We are C8 and C7 Corvette heaven, and proud to say 50-year Corvette specialists. AutoDirectCorvettes.com, 856-461-1199. You're going to love our Corvettes as much as we do. We guarantee it.
And now, back to the only current podcast on Corvettes, Corvette Today, with your host, Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks once again for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette. Brought to you by Wheelcraft. Spring is here, and you want your Corvette looking its best. Dress up your Corvette with bright chrome and black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. We're talking about the National Corvette Caravan coming up next year. I have Regional Sectional Captain Bill Herold from the West Coast, and from the East Coast, Jeff Zipity Duda from the Atlantic section. In this third and final section, we're going to talk about how you can get involved. Guys, first, who can join the caravan?
Well, Steve, pretty much anyone that owns a Corvette is eligible to join the Corvette Caravan. You do not need to be a member of the National Corvette Museum. You do not need to be a member of a local Corvette club. Yes, certainly the museum would love to have you become a member. That's part of the idea, is to get everybody down to the museum to see what the museum's all about. So yes, museum membership is encouraged, but is certainly not required, nor is it required to be a member of a local Corvette club. So if you're just an independent Corvette owner, by all means, please consider signing up and learning more about it from your local Corvette Caravan captain.
That sounds good. Guys, let's talk about basic rules of the road for caravanners. This has got to be really important, especially with this big of a group from every section of the United States.
So, Steve, I'm going to take that question because in 2019, I was a newbie, a first time in the caravan. And I remember in our welcome reception the night before we launched for our 7-day journey to Bowling Green, they had a couple of speakers, including the captain, spend a considerable amount of time talking about the rules of the road. As you can imagine, when you've got 200 Corvettes and you envision just by the word caravan, you view or see in your mind's eye this long stretch of 200 Corvettes bumper to bumper driving along the highway. The reality is that you've got to recognize that number one, you're sharing the road with a lot of other cars. You have to be courteous to the other drivers. You also have to recognize that there's this little thing called rubber banding. You don't want to learn the hard way. When you've got a bunch of Corvettes all lined up in a row and everybody's doing 60 miles an hour and you got one guy that kind of brakes for maybe a rabbit running across the highway, you can imagine what potentially could happen behind that car. You want to travel safe distances and you want to be courteous to the other non-Corvette drivers on the interstates and highways that you're traveling.
That sounds really smart. All right, so we've got this extensive road trip, guys. We've got multiple stops. Once you get to the National Corvette Museum, what's planned for the weekend?
Oh, my goodness. The Corvette Museum has got an unbelievable itinerary set up for everybody that's coming down to the museum. If you've never been to the Bash before, or if you've never been to any other Labor Day or anniversary celebration, let me tell you, the museum will keep you busy. They have engineers from General Motors there going over the latest and greatest advancements in the current car in the C8 currently. They could be doing some debuts. At the Bash is usually when they debut the new colors and what's coming out for the next model year. At the anniversary celebrations, it tends to be a little bit more retrospective. They also have the Corvette Hall of Fame induction dinners during the anniversary celebration, but then there's also lots of seminars on site, not to mention just the museum and everything that has going on. The museum is such a wonderful way to pay homage to the Corvette because it's not a static display. Every time you visit the museum, you will see something different. Sure, they have their core displays, such as the sinkhole display of all the Corvettes who were swallowed up in the sinkhole, but they have an evolving display. They had a Hot Wheels display out there recently. That is since gone and is now another display set up there. So there's lots to see and do at the museum, but there are countless seminars that are put on. There are road trips that are put on by the local Corvette Club there in Bowling Green. You can take a ride out to Trooper Island with the Kentucky State Police. There are all kinds of things to see and do while you're there. They have vendors set up across the footprint of the museum. Plus, the assembly plant is now available again for tours. So you can actually go through the assembly plant and watch the C8 Corvette being built. As I mentioned earlier, there's also the Corvette Motorsports Park across the street from the museum. So you have lots to see and do while you're there in Bowling Green at the museum.
If I can add to that, Jeff, if you're really ambitious and for some reason looking for something even more to do, less than an hour's drive south, you're in Nashville.
That sounds like fun, guys. It really does. Once the event is over, how does a caravaner get back home? Does everybody caravan back home?
As far as the Southwest Caravan, that's pretty much an accurate statement. Once we arrive in Bowling Green and we spend our 3 or 4 days there, it is pretty much up to the caravanners to make their own decisions with respect to where they go from there. What we have found is that many will continue on to another destination, possibly visit friends or family or other points of interest in the region there before they decide to head back to the Southern California or Southwest region. We really leave it up to the participant for them to find their way back.
That sounds good. Now, we had talked about this earlier, guys, but let's briefly again go over hotels, lodging, meals, gasoline, and stuff like that while you caravan to Bowling Green.
So that's always the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenge for the caravan captains, because when the event was much smaller, it was much easier to manage. Now that the event has continued to grow, which is a great thing because we're expanding the Corvette enthusiasm across the normal markets, the biggest challenge is the hotels there in Bowling Green. But what I like to tell folks, being involved with these events since 2003, the infrastructure there in Bowling Green is much, much larger, and there is so many more hotels available for the captains and for the caravanners to secure lodging while you're in Bowling Green. Getting lodging during the caravan portion, that's relatively simple because if you're pulling in with 200 people on a Tuesday night in the middle of somewhere in between Southern California and Bowling Green, it's going to be pretty easy to get a hotel room. The challenge is getting those hotel rooms while you're in Bowling Green. But most of your captains will have coordinated some sort of room block or lodging for you And then there's still ways, if you're an independent person still looking to get a hotel room in Bowling Green, the hotels are cognizant of that and have inventory held for those individuals that will be planning on coming into the caravan and the anniversary celebration as well.
Nice.
So I think Jeff nailed it. Probably the biggest challenge is Bowling Green. You can see anywhere from estimates of 8,000 to 12,000 Corvettes assembling on this anniversary weekend. Certainly, there's a great deal of planning that takes place in terms of securing those room blocks and making sure that availability is reserved in advance of your arrival.
Nice. Guys, once again, if someone wants to sign up for the caravan and the anniversary event there at the National Corvette Museum, what is the website and how can they sign up?
It's simple. CorvetteCaravan.com. And then up in the top right-hand corner, click those 3 little vertical bars, and there'll be a drop-down section there where you can then select your state. And then not only does it break it down to state, but it also breaks it down into region. So find your local region. And if you want to find a region that's similar, or check out the itineraries of multiple captains. You don't have to drive with your group where you live. If you're going to see an itinerary that looks pretty interesting to a neighboring region, consider driving with that group.
That sounds like fun. And I also want to do a shout out to our friend of the show, John Elegant from MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. He's one of the co-captains in the Pacific Northwest. He's from Portland, so he's going to be helping with that caravan down to the National Corvette Museum. Bill Herold, Jeff Zipity, Duda, thank you so much for taking time to be on Corvette Today. I should have you guys back because we're a year and a half out, so we should do an update coming up sometime soon.
Would love to do that, Steve. Thank you.
Steve, thank you very much. I do enjoy doing this. And by all means, any way that we can spread the Corvette joy, I'm happy to do it.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, and please be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today podcast. And thanks to our sponsors, Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com to learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-840-5334. Soul Performance Products at soulpp.com, the official exhaust of Corvette Today. True Wealth & Company at retirewithtrue.com. Also, Aerolarri Wheels. Get $100 off your purchase with the new promo code CT111 at aerolarri.com. And Hendrick Chevrolet in Kansas City at chevyusa.com.
You've been listening to Corvette Today with Steve Garrett. If you'd like to contact Steve with any thoughts on the podcast or ideas for guests on Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. Or connect with Steve on social media on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram using @SteveGarrettDJ. Thanks again for listening to Corvette Today.